All right, we are live. This is the In Between the Lines podcast. I'm Jake, here with my buddy Jeff. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
Oh man, it's been a great week. I've really been on cloud nine since we recorded that first episode. I had so much fun. I couldn't wait to do it again.
Yeah, same here. I'm kind of fired up after week one, week two of college football, week one of the NFL. Man, we got a lot to talk about, man. If you don't mind, we can start out with college and dive right in to those Michigan Wolverines, man. I was highly disappointed in the way they showed up. They did not get that run game established like I was talking about before. They just couldn't get in the rhythm at all. And Tech, all credit due to Texas, man. They are a good team this year. I knew it was going to be a tough game, but I didn't expect to get a whooping like that, man. I mean, they spanked them. They spanked them. It was bad. It was embarrassing.
It was tough to watch. I was after watching that first week. I was a little bit worried. I think we talked about that last week, that I didn't know if it was that we just weren't showing Texas what we had, or if we just really weren't all that prepared. And unfortunately, it just doesn't look like we're as good as I was hoping we were going to be, because they
Yeah,
literally beat us on just about every aspect of the game.
yeah, they did. They did, and I heard the commentators speaking about the offensive line. How they haven't had time to gel. I guess last year's unit, they had played 100 games together or something like that, or 80 games. It was something crazy like that. And this unit was like half of that. Whatever the number was, it was like more than half. But the only way you're going to get better is to keep doing it. A totally different team from what Harbaugh had last year.
Yeah,
It's not even close.
yeah. I want to say, I know they. I mean, I know they lost 11 starters, but I want to say they said that they lost 18 total players, and then, I mean, lost the head coach, lost their defensive coordinator, lost their head strength and training guy, lost their DB coach. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's a big turnover, but I mean, they still have players on that team, so that's kind of what disappointed me. And I think, once we went into halftime, and it was what, 24-3, which at that
Hmm.
time I felt like the game was over. Um,
Right.
I kind of wanted to see Alex Orji come in and run a few, not just a play here or there, but I wanted to see him actually run a series just to kind of change things up.
Right.
And the fact that they didn't makes me really think that Alex Orji must not be not that good.
Yeah. 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 I'm there with you, man. The Warren kid just kind of surprised me. I'm pretty sure it surprised a lot of people, but I wasn't expecting him to start. We were all looking forward to Orgy coming out there this season. So, I guess you just got to trust the coaches at this point.
Yeah, they're the ones that see him. I mean, they're the ones that have been. They saw him through the spring practices. They've seen him through the fall practices, and that's kind of what I heard, is that they had hoped after the spring practices that Orgy'd really step in the fall practices, and I guess he really didn't, and he really, really struggled towards the end of the fall practices. So
Yeah.
the thing that kind of worries me about the Davis Warrens kid, I mean, that was his second college football game ever, and it's against Texas.
Right.
You know,
Right.
they had said he only played in 7 total or high school games through his career because of the leukemia that he had went through. So he doesn't have a whole lot of game time experience even in high school. So it's going to be a tough learning curve to when you're playing Texas in your second game, and then you got this Big Ten schedule. So it could be a struggle.
Yeah. I'm shocked that Michigan will move on a kid with so little experience. And
Which
it's it's not gonna get easier from here. I mean, they got Oregon and they got I mean, we have. Let's not even talk about Ohio State at the end of the season, man. I mean, they got that they have a brutal schedule.
Well, they've got USC in 2 weeks, and that's going to be a struggle because if you've watched USC, their defense is actually good this year, so that's going to be a tough one. Oregon's going to be tough, and like you said, yeah, that team in Ohio is going to be a tough one as well. So it could be a struggle. It could be a struggle this year. But you know what did make me happy?
What's that?
So I had all these Notre Dame fans that were posting stuff on Facebook and talking trash about Michigan. It was kind of weird to see them all disappear at 6 o'clock. I don't know if you noticed that they weren't on social media anymore.
Oh man, what another embarrassment, man! Notre Dame. And I always had a soft spot in my heart for Notre Dame. Just simply at the fact that Chicago covers Notre Dame. That's probably the best team that we cover in college sports. But Illinois, they got some stuff cooking down there. I've been paying attention to them. And, they beat number 19 Kansas this past weekend.
I was
really excited about that. Yeah. Yeah, it looked like they on the come up, but I'll keep my eyes out for them. I know they got a good, solid run game down there. Quarterback is doing pretty well, too.
Who is the quarterback,
I don't know where they got this kid from, man. I would have to do my research on it. They really caught me off guard this year because they didn't do anything. I was so go blue last season. I didn't even pay attention to what Illinois was doing.
Yeah.
So my apologies on that, but I will be better prepared for that next week.
Did you watch any other college games this week that stood out to you?
No, it was just Illinois. I got the Notre Dame score, of course, Michigan, but that was about it.
So there was a couple that kind of stood out to me. I watched the Tennessee game because they were playing a ranked opponent too, and they looked really, really good. I think they moved all the way up to number 9 this week. Mm-hmm. But Oregon struggled. I think it took a last-minute field goal to beat Boise State, and so now they've played Idaho close and they've played Boise State close too. So I'm starting to hear some buzz that maybe they're a little bit overrated too. But
yeah, we'll be able to tell come week 5, week 6. What's really happening. October is a very exciting month for college football. We'll be able to tell the pretenders from the contenders, as they say.
So another game that I watched the Nebraska-Colorado game. And
oh, yes. How could I forget? Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know what. They just don't have a line. I mean, they got skilled players. They got the skilled positions, but that offensive line is trash. They couldn't protect Shador at all. Defensive line, again, is trash. They can't stop anyone. They got the corners. Of course, they got Hunter. He's playing both sides of the ball. Shiloh Sanders, he got hurt. He broke his forearm, I believe.
Yeah.
So I'm not even sure if he's
probably done
going to play again. Yeah. So, but they're set everywhere else. It's just in the trenches where they can't get a push on the ball.
What do you think of Deion Sanders?
I'm a little biased because I was such a huge Deion Sanders fan coming up. I mean, watching him play, coaching wise, the kids love him. I mean, you can't deny that they enjoy playing for him. But I think he's the same as a coach as he was as a player. So far as, he's flashy. He's very flashy. I'm really not a fan of the chains and the sunglasses, and I think they need to take a chill pill on that stuff, man, and focus more on football. So that I'm trying to keep it a hundred with my boy Dion, but I love the guy. I always have. If I was playing right now, I would want to play for him, but it's so much outside noise, that comes with Dion. But I mean, I don't know, man.
So did you hear the headline? I think I read it yesterday, where it says that he demanded that the band not play the song after a touchdown, that they had to play
I don't
his
even
rap
believe
song.
that, man. That's gotta be it's so much fake news on the internet. So I'm gonna really be paying attention to when they play. If they can score a touchdown, I'm gonna be really paying attention to that. I can't see him. I mean, I know he a pretty arrogant guy, but I can't see that.
I laughed out loud when I read it, but I said the same thing. It's just crazy enough to believe, though. But yeah, I don't know if it's true or not.
Oh my god, man! No, I laugh too, man. I can't see him doing that.
So I have mixed reviews on Dion. I'm kind of the same way as you, but it was the same way as a player. When he was a player, there was times that I really, really liked him, and then there was other times that I couldn't stand him. And I kind of feel the same way with him as a coach. I go sometimes and be like, oh, I just don't like it. And it seems like every time where I think he's all about himself or his sons, all of a sudden I see him do something that it's like, no, that was a really good thing to say as a team and things like that. So, like I said, I mean, I guess I'll hold opinion for him. But yeah, it's kind of like you and your top 5 running backs. It depends on what day.
Right.
It's the answer you
Right.
get. So.
I did see where Paul Feinbaum predicted that he's going to leave Colorado after Shiloh and Shador leaves, Hunter leaves.
Well, I could see that. I mean, I think Feinbaum's a punk, so I don't like listening to anything that he says. But
He was a hardball hater.
he's just a hater in general. Just a hater in general. I can't stand that dude. He's got that face that you just want to punch.
Yeah, I agree.
But when I was originally getting to that Colorado-Nebraska game, though, what really impressed me was that Raiola kid from Nebraska, that quarterback. He's solid.
Yeah, he was throwing it all around the yard, man. But I want to see him when he gets some real pressure on him too. Because, like I say, Colorado doesn't. They don't get any push whatsoever. But I'm not trying to take nothing away from the kid. He played lights out.
He was out there looking like Patrick Mahomes, and I know they said that was kind of his idol. Like he even has his hair styled like him, and kind of tries to walk and act like
that. That tripped me out. Yeah, when that
was
the
fun.
number. Yeah. Well,
but he kind of threw and moved like him too a little bit. I mean, he reminded me of him. So, like I said, I'll be interested to see what he's got because he looked really good to me.
Yeah. He's the real deal.
I mean,
what year is he in? Do you know?
Oh, he's a freshman.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a freshman.
Whoa. Okay. All right. Well, I know who they're gonna be talking about over the next couple of years.
Oh yeah.
If he can stay healthy.
He's definitely better than Davis Warren. Don't you think?
I don't understand why. And JJ McCarthy was good, but I don't understand why Harbaugh couldn't land that 5-star like Nebraska, or I don't get it. I don't understand it, man. It seemed like that Michigan would have had that guy at some point during his tenure in Ann Arbor.
Well, one of the things though that I've heard, I know Harbaugh's really old school, but Harbaugh really didn't have any belief and really had no NIL system in place at Michigan, and that's one of the things that I heard that Sharon Moore is really big on that, and he's actually set up a division and a department specifically for that. The only problem right now is, I mean, he's a couple of years behind everybody else, so he's got some catching up to do. But
Yeah.
I think that's one of the issues. I mean, same thing. I mean, it's not just Harbaugh. It was like the whole Michigan program itself. That's one of the reasons they said Hunter Dickinson left the basketball team there was because of the NIL situation.
Yeah.
He went to Kansas and was getting like $4 million to play at Kansas. So
Wow.
I mean, you can't blame players for doing something like that. So
Yeah. Well, we got to give Moore a chance, man, and see what he can do. Like we said earlier, they did lose a lot. So let's see what his recruiting is like. Can he recruit, and get a system in place?
I heard kids love him too. So I mean, yeah, we'll see. Like I said, the thing that you always got to remember in this situation is Texas looks like a national title contender. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
just that
Yeah,
Michigan
for
is
sure.
bad. They're a good team. They kind of remind me of Michigan last year, if you really think about it. They came off a kind of a heartbreaking semifinal loss the year before, just like we did against TCU. They've got a returning good quarterback. They've got returning players in several different key areas, and then they came to that game and they looked like they knew they were the better team and they knew that they were to beat us, which is kind of what Michigan did last year. They went to every game and they were like, "We're going to beat you," and so they remind me a little bit of that Michigan team last year, and I wouldn't be surprised if they won the national championship. So,
Wow. Okay. Okay. Well, they got to get through Georgia. That's for sure. Georgia looked amazing. Well, they didn't really play nobody, but Tennessee Tech or something like that they ran through,
Yeah.
but they gonna be tough.
Yeah, they always are. I mean, they always are. They get so many 5-star recruits every year. They're good.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So much for college football. Let's move over to the pros. I'm gonna let you go into your Lions first.
Ooh, man. Oh God. I think I told you last week. I was a little nerved up going into that game because, like I said, the Rams are a good team. I mean, we barely beat them in the playoffs last year, so they're a playoff caliber team. Matthew Stafford. I'm a big Matthew Stafford fan, and I knew he was going to be ready to come because there was all that talk that could be his last game ever at Ford Field. So
Right.
so I know he came and was ready to play. They were talking about how the Rams were going to have one of the best offenses all year. And one of the things that did worry me was none of the main stars for the Lions played in preseason. And I know they say that preseason doesn't mean a whole lot, but you still need to get some reps in. You still need to get some gelling in with your teammates. So I was nervous. And
Right.
I feel like this is that first year that since I've been alive that they come in and I mean they're a favorite to go to the Super Bowl. I mean there's several people that are picking them, some to win the Super Bowl, but a lot of people were picking them to go to the Super Bowl. So I was just kind of worried, never being in that position before. So yeah, I mean I did a breakdown of the game earlier today just to kind of rewatch it. And it was funny when I rewatched it. It was a lot different than what I remembered watching it. But there's a couple things that I remembered as the game was going on. The first thing that I remembered was in the first quarter, David Montgomery was carving them up. He was getting 7-8 yards a run. He was just bullying them. And then it seemed like after the first quarter, they didn't give him the ball again. And it was funny because my wife has a fantasy football team. We'll have to talk about that a little bit later, because she knows nothing about football. But So I have a fantasy football team, really, but she had called me. She's in New Orleans right now, and she had called me, and I think it was in the fourth quarter, and she's like, "What are those stupid Lions not giving it to Montgomery for? He's only got me 4 points." And so she was all worked up, and I was thinking that same thing. And I was watching the game with my son. I'd even said something to him at one point. Was like, "God, I can't believe they don't got Montgomery in. He did so good." So then to see him just run down their throats in overtime was fantastic. I mean, I think Jason Kelsey had posted a tweet saying something similar, like to watch the Lions just run it down their throat like that in overtime just got him all pumped up where he couldn't even sleep at night, and I felt the same way. The
Yeah.
other thing that I really had noticed was it was fun as I was watching the game. I felt like Aiden Hutchinson wasn't doing anything. I remember kept saying like, "Man, I just don't feel like he's doing anything. I don't feel like he's doing anything." And I heard Chris Collinsworth a couple times talking about, "Oh, this is going to come down to if they can block Aiden Hutchinson." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Hutchinson's not doing anything." Well,
Mm-hmm.
then when I watched it today, Hutchin was doing everything. I mean, it was when you really watched. Stafford was getting rid of the ball within 2 seconds, so he didn't have
Right.
time to get there. But when you watched, he was there almost every play. And then I saw something today, I think, or yesterday, that said he had like 11 pressures, 7
Mm-hmm.
hurries, 3 hits, a sack. So he was dominant. Actually, I
Yeah.
mean, it's one of those things where sometimes the stats don't actually show what he actually did, but God, I had all my normal Lions emotions to that game. I was happy, okay, they're playing well. Then it was like they kind of slowed down a little bit, and then they gave up the lead. And then after they gave up the lead and got the ball back and went 3-and-out, I thought the Rams are getting the ball with 2.5 minutes to go. We're not going to see it again, and to come down and tie it up and then just do that in overtime. I couldn't sleep it the rest of the night. It was just fantastic. Like I said, I'm stoked. I'm back to
Yeah.
feeling like, yep, Lions are a Super Bowl team. So, um, did you? I mean, did you watch the game?
Oh, absolutely. I did. And just for the record, I'm still pretty pissed off that we don't even have David Montgomery anymore.
Yeah,
That still burns me up. I can't believe, I know that's a whole nother different rant. He still should be a Bear. We haven't replaced him. I mean, I know we got Swift now, but he's no Montgomery. I mean, Montgomery is a tough kid, man. He running between the tackles. He got speed, power. That he deserved a contract.
he's a little bulldog, man.
He
He's
is.
tough.
He is. And Hutchinson, you're right. I paid attention to the pressures that he was getting, and I'm gonna disagree with you on the Rams. I really don't think the Rams are going to be. I think they're just going to be average, man. They may make the playoffs, and if they do, I think they're going to be one and done.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you use Montgomery in between the tackles and they lost Aaron Donald? I mean, I would have tried that and kept on trying and trying and trying. But that's just me. I'm old school when it comes to football. Run that football,
yeah,
So I definitely wouldn't have came away from that. I protect golf as much as I can, but he got some weapons to throw to. So, but I would establish that run game first with a guy like Montgomery, and like I said, they not gonna replace Aaron Donald no time soon. I mean, if ever, So yeah, I would have definitely done that. But the Lions, they gonna be a force to be reckoned with. I can't talk about them like I used to. That they will show up and be good, and the next season it look like they're an expansion team. So I
right.
can't say it anymore. And they would just always find a way to just mess it up, man.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
Lions
absolutely.
did, but well, I mean, they did do that last year in the NFC Championship game. I thought they was about to have their first appearance ever in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
but yeah, man, it's a good time to be a Lions fan. I'm kind of jealous. So yeah, y'all look good.
Did you see Nakua? He hurt himself in that game too. The wide receiver for they actually put him on the IR, so he has to sit at least for the next 4 games. I think it is. That's a tough hit. That's a tough hit.
Yeah, yeah. It was a couple of injuries this weekend, but moving on over west of Detroit and Chicago. So as the game was going on, everybody was telling me how hard I was on the Bears. I was pretty ticked off. I mean, we couldn't get nothing, absolutely nothing going on the offensive side of the ball. But like you said, I went back and I looked, and I'm like, man, Caleb Williams is trash. He this and that. He this and that. But rookie, first game. So I said, okay. I took everybody's advice. Jeff, calm down. So I went back and I looked at, some of the game as well. And the plays were there. I mean, the plays were there. I mean, we had open receivers. He overthrew some cats. One of them, it was a for sure touchdown. And he even said himself, if I make that throw, you're looking at this game totally different. But then even fast forward, Keenan Allen missed a wide open touchdown. I mean, he just dropped it in his hands. It was right there. And I'm just like, oh man, y'all got to help the rookie out. Right. So we had some drops. They didn't run the ball. I mean, they did not run the ball. When you have a rookie quarterback, I'm saying you should have ran the ball with Jared Goff. I mean, he got all the experience in the world, right? This cat don't have no NFL experience. You have to protect him. Get a run game established, and then, start hitting those quick outs. Even when they did start doing the quick outs, they were there. He was connecting. But they didn't get the run game established. So that's something that has to be addressed. The Shane Waldron guy, that they put all this praise into, he didn't get it done. Defense, it was like watching a Lovie Smith team all over again. This great defense, great special teams. This is the second time we won a game, scored 3 touchdowns without an offensive touchdown. Mm-hmm. That happened back when we played Arizona. Denny Green, they are who we thought they were. So it was the same thing, man. I'm just like, you're not happy they won. I'm like, of course I'm happy they won, but it was just like a rerun. Like, come on, man, we got to score. If you want to win in this league, you got to put up points on the offense side of the ball, man, flat out. So I was pissed, but I'm gonna get a kid a chance. But we got Houston coming up this week, man. In Houston for their home opener Sunday night.
Yeah, that's gonna be that's a different game. Houston's a good team. So they're going to have to figure out something. I didn't get to watch the game live because I was reffing some youth football, but I kept checking it on my phone and kept seeing the score. So, like I said, was it 17-0 at one time, or was it 17-3, something like that?
Yeah, it was 17-0 at halftime.
Yeah. And
so I stormed out. I stormed out the house, out on the patio, and I was hot, man. I was hot. And we won 24-17. We didn't give up no points in the second half. Will Levis gifted us a touchdown. Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking.
I saw that. I don't know if you watched. I did a little breakdown of their game. That, like I said, I didn't get to see him watch them live, so I just watched all the highlights. And one of the things that I had noticed about Caleb Williams And like I said, I preface this with, I'm not a big fan of Caleb Williams. I think he's overrated, but I do know that he has talent. But to me, it seemed like he was throwing off his back foot a lot. When it didn't,
Yeah.
even when he wasn't getting pressure. And I think I'd even made that comment as I was watching the video, is that something that he normally does? Because I don't know that I've watched him a ton. But I mean, I want to say that I counted, and this is from a highlight video, not from watching the game in person, that I counted like 5 or 6 throws that were off his back foot, and it was like, wow, what is he doing? And I saw some of those ones that he missed. Like I saw one that was like, oh, that was a wide open touchdown. He overthrew it. So I think I had read something that he had actually one of the worst like quarterback rating performances of a number one overall quarterback of all time. But I tell you what, ESPN sure loves that kid because the glazing that they were doing on him.
Yeah.
All the posts that I kept reading, and this was after knowing that he went like 9 for 16 for 96 yards or something like that. All the posts that I kept reading was Caleb Williams is the first number one overall pick to win his first game. And it's like, I'm trying to remember who I was watching that said, but this isn't like normal first number one overall picks. Usually the first number one overall pick goes to the worst team in football. Whereas, the Bears won 7 games last year. So he has some weapons, but, I don't know if it's because he had his nails painted. I don't know if you saw that or not. I don't know if that had anything to do with it.
Hey, man. You already know how I feel about that kind of stuff, but in today's world, it's just some stuff you can't say, but damn the painted nails. I mean, come on, man.
I thought they were pretty. I thought they were pretty. I thought they were pretty. But yeah, the defense was good. The defense was really good. I saw that, Simone Biles' husband got a nice little punt block return.
Jonathan Owens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I call him Mr. Biles.
Hey, man. Hey, I feel you. Yeah. She ain't gonna change her name.
No. Oh, no way. What would you do if all of a sudden that he changed his name and he was now Jonathan Biles? What would you do?
I mean, the Bears would be bitch made. It's already. I mean, come on, man. You already got the nails going on. Then you got a dude switch his name to the female's last name.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's funny because I know you were worked up too because I texted you during the day, and you wanted to do the podcast right then.
Yeah, I did. Glad we didn't, because I probably would have used some language I shouldn't have. Man, I was hot, man.
Yeah.
God, dog. But one thing about Caleb is that one of the pluses that I see, whenever he was in trouble, he still kept his eyes downfield.
Yeah.
Looking for that receiver. Justin Fields, he was just gonna take off. I mean, he didn't care. He took a lot of hits too. But that was one plus that I seen with Caleb, man. It was just, I love the way he kept his eyes downfield looking for that open receiver. I think he's going to be good. I really do. I know you say you're not a fan, but I think if they do the development right, the Bears have never developed a quarterback, man.
Right.
Never.
Right.
So I'm hoping this is a change. I really do. Don't mess this up, please.
Now, speaking of injuries, I'd read something. Did Oduzne get hurt?
I know they did an MRI on his knee. I haven't heard any news yet on what the injury is, or I don't think he's out for the season. My phone would have been buzzing off all day. But that was supposed to come back today, the results.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I had read, was that he was going to have an MRI done, so I didn't know what he did, and I hadn't heard any results or anything like that. Because, like I said, he was one of the ones that from watching Hard Knocks that I actually was kind of a fan of. So
Yeah.
I was disappointed to hear that he was injured, but
Yes. No, I haven't heard anything. I'm looking now. I don't see any breaking news. So
okay.
hopefully something don't come out tomorrow morning.
Right. I'll keep my fingers crossed. Like I said, I like the kid from watching him on Hard Knocks. He seemed like a good dude. But speaking of injuries, what about the Jordan Love situation? What do you think about that?
I hope Green Bay going down. That's what I think about it. I don't think it's no team in sports that I hate more than Green Bay.
Yeah.
I mean, in sports, in the world,
You
more
told
than
me
Green
that.
Bay.
You told me that. It's
Yeah.
funny. Like I said, I think last week I had told you that I had originally thought that Jordan Love was overrated, but then watching him last year, I was like, oh, he's not overrated. And I know you had said that you still did think that he might be overrated, that you thought he only played well a couple of games and that he didn't really deserve that big contract.
To me, it wasn't enough to get the
Yeah.
contract. I think he should have played another season. That's just me. I mean, he played well. What was it? The last 6 games or so.
Yeah.
Got
him into the playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, he may be great. I'm not saying he's not going to be great, but I think they just gave it to him a little too soon, in my opinion.
Well, he did not look good in that game against Philly that he hurt himself in. I mean, he didn't look good at that point. I mean, Philly's a good team, and I know they were playing in Brazil, and I don't think the field conditions were the greatest. So, I don't know. Like I said, as I said last week, I hope he and the Green Bay Packers fail miserably. Like I said, it's nothing personal. Like I said, I don't know if I hate Green Bay as much as you do, but I am not a fan at all. But I didn't realize just how big his contract actually was until I just saw this contract that Dak Prescott signed, and then they had showed like Jordan Love's like the 4th or 5th highest paid player in the NFL.
That's crazy.
That blows me away. But getting to Dak Prescott, I know you had posted a video about Dak Prescott's contract. What do you think about that?
He rich. He is. Man, I'm gonna get please forgive me, but he can't pull the race card at all. That comes up a lot, in sports, man. And I'm just like, this dude just keep getting chance after chance after chance after chance and doesn't deliver on the field. He get to the playoffs, man, and lay an egg, and he the highest paid in the NFL. Are you kidding me? More than Mahomes? Come on, man. That's not. You can't justify that. There's no way you can justify that contract.
Well, it was funny when I saw that you had posted that. I actually did a little research just to kind of see what some of the pros and cons of that contract were, and so I'm looking at this photo right here. When we post this video, I'll actually share the video itself, but it's showing the last 50 starts of Patrick Mahomes and Dak Prescott. Have you seen this?
No, I haven't.
So, wins and losses: Patrick Mahomes 36-14, Dak Prescott's 33-17. Pass TDs, they both have 105. Interceptions: Patrick Mahomes has 39, Dak Prescott has 38. Passer rating: Patrick Mahomes is 98.9. Dak Prescott is 101.3. Yards per attempt: Patrick Mahomes is 7.5, and Dak Prescott is 7.6. And completion percentage: Mahomes is 66.8%, and Dak Prescott is 68.4%. So almost every stat Dak Prescott is higher than Patrick Mahomes.
Super Bowls.
That's the stat that they left out, was that playoff record.
Playoff records, Super Bowl appearances.
Yeah.
Hey man, if you ain't winning,
Yeah, I get it. I get it. But, so when you're the Dallas Cowboys, though, I saw something posted the other day. So the Dallas Cowboys are the most valuable team in sports. Not just football, but in all of sports. So they're the richest team, and Jerry Jones isn't afraid to go pay. But I guess, like, when you're thinking about, I mean, he's a Pro Bowl quarterback. Yeah, he hasn't won that big game yet, but who else are they going to go get?
I mean, I think I would have reset the clock. I don't think I would have, or I would have took some of that money. If I would have paid them, I probably wouldn't have paid them as much, and went and got some other things that they probably need, like a running back, maybe. Derrick Henry was in Dallas waiting to get signed by the Cowboys, and Jerry just wouldn't do it. So I don't understand that. They still got to pay Michael Parsons.
Yeah.
But they went all in on Dak Prescott, and
they played that. They paid that receiver too, though. CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. But I think they should have took that cash and invested it in the team. Get more skilled players to go for this thing. But I don't understand why Jerry won't hire a general manager.
Ego.
Come on, man. This dude.
Ego. It's ego.
He's a joke. I mean, he is really a joke, man.
Yeah.
So.
One of the complaints that I had heard, I'm trying to remember which guy I saw saying something about it. So they had said that the issue was, paying CeeDee Lamb as much as they paid him, and then waiting so long to pay Dak Prescott, and then paying him what they paid him. They had said if they would have just did this, last year, for one, it would have been cheaper because, the market gets reset every time a new quarterback signs something. So everybody wants to be the highest paid quarterback. If they would have done it last year, they probably could have saved $20-30 million total. Yeah. They said, and then they could have also used some of that money and leverage to get some other players. Because that's what the guy was saying, was that they actually did nothing to improve their team. They didn't get any new pieces. All they did was pay Prescott, which, I mean, I guess that gets you to have him for longer, but they didn't add any other pieces to a team that didn't make it far last year.
They didn't even keep Tony Pollard. And as good as our defense played this weekend, Tony Pollard had a very good game against the Bears, and I guess his best game of his career came against the Bears 2 or 3 years ago. Really? And he's backed it up again with this one. So I don't understand what he's doing down there, but Dak is not going to do it all. You just can't throw it to CD every possession. You can't. You need a running back. And
they got Ezekiel Elliott.
They brought Ezekiel Elliott back.
I forgot. I didn't even realize he still played, to be perfectly honest with you.
I think he went to New England and stunk it up there. But, I mean, he's done. Ezekiel Elliott not putting no fear in anybody. But, that's old Jerry for you. Yeah. Jerry World. Have you been to the stadium down there?
No, I want to, though.
It's awesome.
You've been there?
Yeah. It was awesome, and I didn't even go for a game. I was just in Dallas, and I'm like, let's go check out this stadium and this big screen, that they got in there. And, oh, man, it was good. It was nice.
I want to go there, and I'd really like to go to the Raiders' new stadium, that $1 billion stadium they built in Vegas. I heard that's awesome too.
Whenever I go to a city I've never been to before, I always go by the football stadium and the baseball stadium. It's just something I got to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like seeing them too. Like I said, I think I'm the same way. But I've never actually been in another football stadium. I've only been to Pontiac Silverdome and Ford Field. I've never been inside another.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So of course I've been to Soldier Field. I've been to Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. I've been to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium here in Atlanta. I've actually been to both of their stadiums, the one they tore down and the new one. And I've been to the Rams Stadium when the Bears went out there a couple of years ago, Justin Fields' rookie year. So
Gotcha.
I've been to quite a few of them.
Now I would like to kind of do something like that. I was talking to another buddy where it was like, we should go to like a road game every year and just try to hit different stadiums. So I think we're actually going to go to Lucas Oil and see the Lions play Indianapolis down there this year. They play there, and that's only a couple-hour drive. So I think we're going to do that. But yeah,
Okay.
I'd like to do something like that.
Yeah. So it's a lot to look to this coming week. This is my weekend. I have to work, so I won't be able to catch as much as I normally would. I'm gonna have to catch the Bears on my phone during work as much as I can. That's eating me up already. I'm not gonna be able to,
Yeah.
watch it, because when I watch the Bears, I don't miss a play. Not one play. I don't care what's going on. I'm not missing a play. So this Sunday, it's gonna be rough for me. But I will have to go back and watch and see what's going on. Since starting this podcast, it's forcing me to pay attention to things that I didn't pay attention to before.
Yeah.
Kind of like fantasy football,
Right.
so that's exciting.
Oh, I tell you what. Does your wife do fantasy football at all? Does she get into anything like that?
Nah.
So
She asked me, how is your team doing? Are you winning? But she ain't gonna do it.
So, I haven't done fantasy football in a little bit. I used to do it. I liked it. But so Amy got asked to do a fantasy football league last year by a bunch of her girlfriends, right? And so Amy knows nothing about fantasy football. So she's like, "Oh, you'll help me draft and things like that." Well, it's the weirdest league that I've seen it. It's called like a legacy league, where I've heard of keeper leagues where you get to keep a player or two the next year, but they keep their whole team. So the team that she drafted last year, she keeps that whole team, and then so like their draft this year was just rookies. They drafted rookies, but they have things like a taxi squad that you keep, where you keep like 5 players that are first or second year players, but they don't count towards your roster, so you're not actually playing them unless you just all kinds of weird stuff, right? But so she last year, it was one of the early season games. I drafted her a pretty good team. I mean, she had some input, like she'd ask things, but it was the week that the running back for the Cleveland Browns, Chubb.
Yeah, Nick Chubb.
When Chubb tore his ACL, it was that week.
Right.
He tore it that Saturday or that Sunday, right? And so Amy and I are out. We were actually in Detroit. We were at the casinos that night. And so she gets this trade request from somebody in the league that they were trying to trade her Chubb. And she's like, "What's this? This guy's trying to trade me Chubb." And I'm like, "Chubb just tore his ACL today." So she's like, "He's trying to rip me off. He thinks I know nothing about it." Again. So she was all mad, right? Well, then the guy kept trying to have her trade things like that, and I think the same guy had also kept picking the player that she wanted in the draft, like a pick or two beforehand. And I'm gonna make a name up because I don't want to use the person's real name, but let's just say, so it got to the point where she's like, "Oh, this fucking Joe Smith, he's trying to rip me off here," and she kept doing that, right? And so it seemed like every week he was sending her these crazy trades, and I think it was like maybe week 4, week 5, after hearing Miss fucking Joe Smith so many times, she'd asked her friend, who is Joe Smith? It's the girl's 11-year-old nephew. And she'd literally been cussing this 11-year-old out for 4 or 5 weeks.
Oh my God.
You know what the funniest part is? It's a year later and she's still cussing this kid out. I mean, in the draft, she wanted Blake Corum, and she's like, "Fucking Joe Smith took Blake Corum." and this weekend, when she was picking her team, or when she found out McCaffrey wasn't playing, and she was all mad, and she's like, "Well, I've got to win. Fucking Joe Smith won his game." So it's kind of funny how serious.
And I'm just picturing her saying all of this. That's why it makes it even funnier, because I know her. I know her voice and everything. So that's hilarious.
I tell you what, Fantasy Amy is a trip. She takes it so serious. She's spent so much time. I get so many texts throughout the week about certain players and who should she start and what does questionable mean and why don't they just say he's not going to play. Just it's a trip. It's funny. It's really funny.
Yeah, I just started playing fantasy again, man. This is my second year back into it. Since me and you used to play together when we worked together years ago.
Yeah.
It's a lot has changed. It's a keeper league, and they keep 4 players. I'm really not a fan of that, but
it's different. It's different for sure.
Yeah. I like starting from scratch.
Have you seen some of the crazy things that some of these leagues do, like draft orders, and sometimes they do different things for like people to, like last place has to do weird things at the end of the season. Have you seen some of those things?
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, there's wild ones. I mean, it's like they'll determine at the beginning of the year whoever gets last place has to do this. Sometimes it's like a tattoo that says like fantasy loser, or I've seen different things like they have to wear a dress and walk around the mall, or they have to hold a sign out in the street that says I suck at fantasy football. Just all kinds of weird things like that.
Yeah, that's a league I won't be a part of.
I saw another league that they literally, what they did to determine the draft order was they all ran the 40. And they took their times, and fastest got first pick, and it went on and on like that. And
that sounds kind of fun.
It's a bunch of out-of-shape 40, 50-year-olds. So
yeah, that sounds fun.
I mean, I see one guy, he pulled a hamstring. Another guy, he's falling in the middle of it. So that's funny.
Yeah, but I haven't seen. It seemed like everybody does it online. Nobody don't have a party anymore, like a fantasy party like we used to. Go out to a Buffalo Wild Wings or something and get the draft boards, and that was exciting. Yeah. That was, it's people not outgoing like that anymore.
No, for sure. I had another question I wanted to ask. I know we don't really get into talking to this yet, but so have you paid attention at all to the WNBA?
This is probably the first year I've paid this much attention to it since they've been around.
And is it because of the Angel Reese, Caitlyn Clark situation?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I know. So Angel Reese obviously plays for Chicago, so I don't know if you're a Chicago Sky fan or not. But so I don't pay a ton of attention to it. I mean, like I said, I have watched some games, but I mean, I've watched games here in the past, and quite frankly, I think everybody should be talking about Asia Wilson. That girl is phenomenal. But your honest take, like, do you really think there's a Rookie of the Year race right now that's contested?
No, I think Caitlyn got it hands down.
Okay. I was wondering what your perspective on that was.
Yeah, I mean, Angel is having a good season, but I should say I've paid more attention to when they were playing college.
Yeah.
It was when when the college season was going on, I paid more attention than the WNBA. yeah, I would look at the scores, and that's only because I got it on ESPN. It's not trying to sound harsh or nothing. I just never really watched the WNBA like that. It never really did anything for me.
Well,
But
I know they're really, really trying to promote it, and like I said, I've watched some of it, and there's some good players. Like I said, I mean, Asia
mhm,
Wilson's really, really good. Um, there's some other good players too, but when you actually sit there and watch the game is trash. I mean, the game
yeah,
is trash. Like it's hard to watch. But it was funny because, like I said, it seems like everybody is either Team Caitlyn and they hate Angel Reese, or they love Angel Reese and hate Caitlyn Clark. And it's funny because I like both of them. um,
yeah,
I think they're both very, very different players. But like I said, if
yeah. It's not even nothing to compare there. It's like
yeah, they don't guard each other. They're not in the same position.
no,
They would never guard each other. They just do very different things. Like I said, and I'm with you. Like I said, to me, it's not even a close race. Like I said, to me, Caitlin Clark easily had won it. In fact,
hmm,
how she's played since the All Star break, I mean, she's actually should even be in the MVP consideration.
right,
She's not better than Asia Wilson, but like I said, I mean, Asia
right,
Wilson's heads above everybody else.
hmm,
But she's good. But it was funny because I had read a post the other day that actually had the best analysis that I'd ever seen, and they had said it was basically it was a ridiculous argument, and that it was basically like comparing Andre Drummond with Steph Curry,
right. That's exactly what it
and
is.
that's exactly what it is. Like I said, and I loved
Yeah.
Andre Drummond, but I mean, but ain't nobody picking Andre Drummond over
Yeah,
Steph
yeah,
Curry.
yeah. Angel Reese doing the dirty work. That's
Yeah,
that's that's what she does. I mean,
yeah,
she scores. She has some great games, but Caitlyn, she all over the place. She started out rough. I think she started out really rough, and then it just that flick. She cut that switch on, and
yeah. I think she's got the speed of it now.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
and in fairness, she had a target on her back. I mean, everybody was going after her too. So, but yeah, I think she's got it figured out now. I think she's phenomenal. And like I said, to me, I didn't get all the hate from the other players because she was actually bringing to the game what they had all wanted. They wanted the attention, they wanted the money, they wanted all that, and she was actually the one that was helping to do that. And they were treating her like garbage. So it was kind of weird to me, but. Like I said, I just want to get your perspective on that because it's something
yeah.
I don't think I'm sure I've literally never talked to you about something like that
Right, right,
because
right.
we don't watch it.
What? Right. Um, I think that covers everything. I think I did say something about top five receivers, right?
You sure did. I did my work. You want me to go first? Or you want to go first?
Go ahead.
All right. So I'm going to do it just like I did last week. I'm going to start with five. For five, I have Terrell Owens. Um, the numbers are there. He he was good. Like I said, I mean, I loved his personality. I loved his work ethic. He was an absolute freak. I felt like he could take over the game. Basically, in his prime, I thought he was an unstoppable wide receiver. Number four, I've got Larry Fitzgerald. Um, the guy almost never dropped a pass. He's one of the most reliable
Hmm.
receivers. Yeah, I mean, if there was a third down, he was the guy that they were looking for, and everybody knew it. Just, I mean, I want to say it was always. It seemed like there was even a season or two where he had no drop passes. Like I said, I mean, it's but
Yeah,
several years single digit drop passes. Number three, I wanted to go higher with him, with my team bias type situation, but I'm going with Calvin Johnson. Um, Calvin Johnson was just an absolute freak. The I would put him higher. I mean, he's got some stats. He's actually got some records, but he still left somewhat in his prime. He left kind of early. But
Kind of
Detroit,
like another guy in Detroit, but
yeah, I
go
said
ahead.
Detroit does that to people. It did do
Right.
that to people. I mean, obviously, I mean, we're talking about two players somewhat in their prime, some of the best players at their position that both walked away early, both playing for the Lions. But, he did do some things that would disappoint me sometimes, too. I almost felt like it's weird that I have him as my third best receiver of all time, but I still feel like he didn't live up to his expectations. It's kind of a
Mm-hmm.
weird thing to say. But I guess with his expectations and his measurables and things like that, I guess I felt like he could have been the best of all time, and he obviously didn't live up to that.
Right.
My second best, and he's probably my favorite of all time, was Randy Moss. Um, I remember watching Randy Moss when he played for Marshall, and I wanted the Lions to draft him. He was available for the Lions to draft him, but God, I think he was like the 17th pick or something like that. So there was 16 other teams that were super mad that they didn't get him either.
Mm.
But I mean, how many receivers that have been retired that long that people that never seen him play still talk about him? I mean, you still hear people talking about you got mossed. My kids still
Right.
say they mossed somebody, and he retired before they were born. You know what I mean? So he was a freak. He was a weapon. He could absolutely change a game all by himself. So I really liked him. But number one is Jerry Rice. Um, quite frankly, I don't even think it's close. I mean, I think Jerry Rice
Right.
is by far the GOAT as far as the wide receiver go. And then, what was great about him was, he wasn't the biggest guy. He wasn't the fastest guy. I mean, it wasn't like he was super athletic. He just worked harder than anybody.
Yeah.
He got to where his routes were just absolutely perfect. Everything he did was flawless.
Precise. Yeah.
He was. I mean, yeah. He's he was playing when I was young and loved football, and he was who I wanted to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always wanted to be like Jerry Rice, and that's the position that I played. So, I wanted to be 80 because of Jerry Rice. So
Yeah. He
so
made you root for San Francisco.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then when he went to the Raiders, he made me root for the Raiders.
Yeah. Yep.
I liked him. But so yeah, those are my top five. I don't know if there's any real too questionable ones.
I'm gonna go off of what you said last week. You said you only like to pick people that you actually watched.
Yeah.
So, number 5 for me is Calvin Johnson. I got him at number 5. He was, like you said, he was a freak of nature. He came this close to getting 2,000 yards in a season. And if you go back and look at the stats that year, the only reason he did not get 2,000 yards that season was because of Chicago's very own Peanut Tillman. I think he only had, it was under 100 yards for both games combined that he had against the Bears that year. So I always got that in my back pocket. Number 4, I got Larry Fitzgerald.
Okay.
Like
Same
you
place
said,
I know.
the drop passes, like you said, he didn't drop many. Number 3, I got T.O. T.O. was an absolute monster, man. I mean, one of my favorite things about T.O. is when he broke his leg that season and came back for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
To me, that was incredible. I
Yeah.
mean, that was, man, that was awesome. That's why I got him over Fitzgerald. Number 2, same, Randy Moss. Randy Moss could stretch a field, man. I mean, and all you had to do was throw it up. I mean, he was a rookie, and he told Randall Cunningham when they was in the huddle, he was like, "Hey, man, just throw it up, dog. I got it." So didn't have to run a special play or nothing for him. My only knock up against Randy Moss, I guess I can't blame him for it. It was times I would see him go across the middle and he see somebody coming, he'd just bat the ball down.
He's skinny.
He didn't care. He was just like, I'm not catching that.
Yeah.
And number one, Jerry Rice. I can't. I mean, who you gonna put over Jerry?
Yeah.
But I do have an honorable mention.
Okay.
Chris Carter.
So, in fairness, I almost did an honorable mention, and the two honorable mentions that I were going to do was going to be Chris Carter and Antonio Brown. Were going to be my honorable mentions.
Antonio Brown.
Look at his stats, man. Look at his stats.
Yeah.
He's a basket case, but he was the best wide receiver in football for a couple years. I mean,
yeah, he was. Yeah, Chris Carter, for me, in my opinion, there was nobody that caught the ball on the sideline better than Chris Carter. Getting those 2 feet down, I think he was the master at that. And he always... Now, Jerry Rice, he always had a quarterback, to put the ball right there in between the numbers for him. I mean, he had Montana and then he went to Young. I mean, he was in the perfect situation, but Chris Carter wasn't. He had to go and get a lot of those balls that he caught. So that's I just can't put him over Calvin Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald if talent wise, but I could easily put him. Yeah, I mean, he's right there to me. I love Chris Carter, always have.
Yeah, he's good. He was good. What's funny is that we had the exact same 5 receivers, just in different order.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
I mean, that tells you, I mean, how good those guys are.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, and my number 6 or 7 would have been Chris Carter, which is
right
where you're at with him too.
See, you got Antonio Brown for your second. My second will probably be Brandon Marshall.
Oh yeah, Brandon Marshall was good. No, I just wanted to go back to that Larry Fitzgerald thing though. I just looked him up. So he played 16 seasons in the NFL. He had 29 drop passes.
Oh, that's insane.
That's nuts.
That's insane, man. That's a freak of nature for real.
I want to say I'd read that he had the ball thrown to him over 8,000 times, and he only dropped 29 of them.
Wow. Torrey Holt was another good one.
Torrey Holt was good. Isaac Bruce was good. Marvin Harrison was good. I mean, there's a lot of good receivers. There's a lot of good ones. Who do you think's the best? Who do you think's the best receiver in the game right now?
Man, you got so many, man. You got Justin Jefferson. You got Cooper. You got
Jamar Chase,
and Diggs.
Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of good ones. Devontae Adams was good.
Yeah, and and Chase and Jefferson played together at LSU
at the same time.
And I thought that you never seen Justin Jefferson was going to end up being what he was, turned out to be. At least I didn't. I mean, I knew he was good, but I didn't think he was going to be this. It was just chase.
Have you seen that series on Netflix called Receiver?
Do
you got Netflix?
Yes.
You need to check it out. It's a little series, and it follows a handful of receivers around. I guess they did a similar thing last year. It was called Quarterback, and they followed around like Patrick Mahomes and Kirk Cousins and things like that. But I've watched the first 3 or 4 episodes of Receivers, and it follows Deebo Samuel, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kittle, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, and this seems like one other one that I'm missing. But it just follows them. I think it's from last season, but it follows them around, do their games, their workouts, their home life, and it's very good. And I like every single one of those receivers. I mean, it really opens your eyes to their personality. And like I said, Justin Jefferson's a pretty cool dude. So is Devontae Adams. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown I already like, but I mean,
Right.
everybody that's on that show I think you'd like it. So if you get a chance, check it out. It's a good show. It's a good show.
Yeah. Yeah, I will. And one more I would like to mention is Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco.
Ocho Cinco, yeah.
I actually seen him down here. He was a pretty cool dude.
He seems like a riot. He seems like an absolute riot.
Yeah.
I'd like to hang out with him.
Yeah. He was, yeah.
You know, maybe if we get real big one day, maybe we can invite him on the show.
Hey, I'm all for it. I've run into a lot of people. I went to a restaurant, and I was standing there ordering my food. It's this place down here called Slutty Vegan. Yeah, that's a whole nother different conversation. But it's they sell vegan food, and I'm not a vegan, by the way, but sometimes I kind of dibble and dabble, go on a diet and just kind of flush myself out and don't eat no meat for a while. But I went in there, and I'm ordering my food. I pay, and as soon as I turn around to walk away, Cam Newton is just standing right there.
Really?
And I'm like, I said, Cam? He was like, yeah. I was like, oh man. But he was so cool, down to earth. I mean, that was a great moment. I'm gonna have to send you the picture that I took with him.
And he's a big dude, isn't he?
Yeah, he huge. I was like, man, I said, I'll be walking into this stuff, man. I just put myself in these situations. I seen how big he was, and I was like, man, I said, dude, you're a lot bigger in person than what I thought. And he was like, yeah, that's what she said. I'm like, all right, man. All right, let's go on and take this picture real quick. Right. But my uncle was here, the one I used to talk about all the time, the Bears fan. I don't know if you remember, but he took a picture with him. He was excited to see him. He was like, you used to play with Ron Rivera was your coach. He couldn't get it out. He just said Ron Rivera was your coach. So he was excited, man. That was fun. That's fun. When I see people like that, I'm gonna shoot my shot. Yeah. I'm gonna let them know, hey, listen, man, I got a podcast I'm trying to get off the ground. Heck yeah. Can you do? I need an interview. Absolutely. So the worst they can say is what? The worst they can say is no.
Right. Absolutely.
Especially when they down to earth like that. If they say, you know what, man, I can't do it. I'm busy. Okay, cool. I understand. Right. But if it's somebody that's not approachable and just think they're bigger than life, I don't want that interview anyway.
Right. Remind me on next episode to tell you about my experience. I went to the draft here in Detroit this year.
Okay.
So remind me. I got a little story about that. That's kind of funny, but God, we've been here for about an hour and 15 minutes. So I guess before we part ways for the week, are the Bears going to beat Houston this week?
I'm never going to say. You know what? I think they can.
Okay.
I think they can beat them. It's they both coming off of tough games. Houston's coming off a division game on the road. And they barely got by Indianapolis. But it's always hard to beat a team in a home opener, especially a night game. I don't understand why, but the night game has always got more energy, than a regular 12 o'clock game. But it's going to be tough. I don't want to come back here next week mad and upset. I want to see some improvements from Caleb. That's what I'm looking for. I don't want to see another 93-yard game. The kid didn't even pass for 100 yards, man.
Right.
I know people saying I'm being hard on him. I mean, but come on, man, 100 yards. You can't get us 100 yards.
Right.
As a quarterback, with those weapons, we'll see. I'm definitely looking for an improvement and a touchdown pass. And he only got me 4 points.
He's on your fantasy team?
Yeah, I started him like an idiot. And I had Anthony Richardson on the bench.
I'll be definitely watching it, as well as my Lions and my Wolverines this week. So,
who does Detroit have this week?
Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Tampa Bay at home. So, tough game. I mean, it's another playoff type team, and they look good against a bad Washington team, but they still look good.
Oh, so Detroit first 2 games are at home.
Yeah,
last weekend is.
That's what happens.
Okay.
That's what happens when you do good.
That's all right. It can come back and bite them later now.
I know. We'll probably have some. Our last 2 will probably be on the road. I haven't even looked yet.
Right.
But all right. Well,
and I guess Michigan has
Arkansas State.
Okay. That they should blow them out.
I hope so. And to be honest with you, I do hope we see Orgy a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd like to see
Michigan needs to win big. They need to win like a 56-10 or something, 40-12. They need something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you ready to wrap this thing up?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, then that's it for the week, folks. Thanks for stepping in between the lines with us. Keep the debates going. Keep up your hot takes, and we'll catch you next time where the sports talk never stops. Stay loud, stay proud. Go Wolverines, go Lions.
Yeah. Go blue. Bear down, baby.